chalice lighting this morning comes from the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Hall Kimmerer. Each person, human or no, is bound to every other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If an animal gives its life to feed me, I'm in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, then I'm responsible for returning a gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know those duties and how to perform them.
Our chalice hymn is number 1051, We Are. The words will appear on your screen. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
So all those who are young of body or feeling young of spirit this morning, or who are accompanying them, are invited to come forward. What do you think is in the Wonder Box this time? Ketchup, a frog, cardstock. Okay. I like the guesses. All right. Strawberries.
That's what Lance said.
You guys got strawberries a few weeks ago. Yeah. Did you say it? I didn't hear it. You must have seen me put them in.
Yeah.
Either that or you're psychic.
I said cardstock.
So you guys got strawberries a few weeks ago. And what was the lesson then about?
They were growing on plants.
This is why we need to reinforce what we teach, so we go over it again.
Wasn't there a book?
There was a story about someone with tigers Do you remember the tigers and the mouse? Yeah, and then he ate the strawberry at the end. Yeah, and so the lesson to that was about how everything's always changing, but we can enjoy things like strawberries in the middle of all that change. That was kind of the lesson of that story. But because you can always learn more than one thing from everything you see and everything you experience, I'm bringing the strawberries back. And does anyone have a reason they can't have a strawberry, like they're allergic or anything? No? So I'd like you to take a strawberry, and don't eat it yet. And I want you to notice something about your strawberry. I want you to tell me some of the things that needed to happen for that strawberry in your hand to get to you. What had to happen for you to get that strawberry? It had to be grown. Yeah? What else?
You have to do effort.
It had to be prepared. Yes, I cut off the tops for you. I also drove it here. I had to get it at the store.
Something so
No other animal had to eat it, yeah.
that didn't work out well for us.
And when it had to be grown, what had to happen for it to grow?
Put seeds,
It needed water, it needed the seeds,
ground,
the ground. What else?
sunlight,
Sunlight, yeah. What else?
popping out.
Wait, what had to happen for the sun to be there?
Life to happen. For luck.
The universe had to form, right? What's that?
Dust.
Dust, yeah, space dust, right? Gases, Big Bang. Yeah. Yeah, and then the Earth had to get into the sun's orbit, right?
It was hard.
Yeah. And every plant that came before that strawberry plant, that also had to grow. Yeah.
I never thought of it.
Yeah. So everything you can think of that needed to happen, so many other things needed to happen for that strawberry to get into your hand. So many other beings had to cooperate. So many other things had to happen. And we needed so many things and so many people to be here too. And everything we love and everyone who will come after us needs us too. So now the next time you have a strawberry, you can really enjoy it because you know how much went into that strawberry. And from our last lesson, you don't know when the next time is you get to eat a strawberry. You don't know how many strawberries you get to have in life, so you should enjoy every single one of them, right? Everything you get to experience in life is always connected to everything else and always changing, and that makes it really special. So now you can eat your strawberries. and Chris is going to do some music with you in religious education today. And you can have the rest of the strawberries too. You can share them. All right, so we're going to sing out the children with As You Go in your order of service.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
Recently, I was walking in a garden with my kids, and my daughter noticed that there was netting over some flowers and asked me what that was for. And I said, "This is to keep the animals from eating the flowers." She said, "Why don't you do that? Animals eat our flowers." And I said, "I don't use those because I don't mind sharing. I know people want to keep their flowers, but we humans aren't the center of the universe. We have to share sometimes. It's their home too." And my son piped up with, "Everything is the center of the universe. Also, nothing is the center of the universe." We'd been talking about the universe being infinite lately. And then my daughter thought for a bit and she said, "We're animals too." And I said, "Yes, we are. Other animals have to eat just like us, and we're all connected and we all need each other. We're animals too. They're our relatives. So I just plant enough to share, and I don't mind if they take a little bit." And she thought a little bit more. She said, "The whole universe is our family." I love how kids are these little mystics, don't you? So lately I've been searching my yard for sprouts. I like to help things grow. And after we moved into our new home this year, I started planting seeds. My approach is unconventional by some standards. I rarely fight any invasive weeds or so-called pests. I just try to find a native plant I like that will outcompete them. I find places that look like they need some plants, and I try a bunch of seeds, and I wait. And with a little bit of planning and a little bit of respecting the will of nature and a little bit of luck, this year I've seen a few small successes. Spring Beauty, a beautiful little pink flower that blooms at the same time as daffodils. Bleeding Hearts, and Rattlesnake Master, a gift from a friend that helps in prairie restoration and erosion control. I planted about 30 different species, and if even a few of them take hold, I will have entirely changed that little plot of land. We're not separate from our ecosystem or each other. My yard changes as I plant seeds. I choose the seeds, which are only available because someone saved them. And this changes my environment in turn. My choice not to persecute the resident groundhog and bunnies means the tomatoes in the raised bed don't make it. It also means coyotes and foxes can be seen slinking through the property at night. The coyotes scare the deer away, so the young pawpaw trees survive. A lawn mix with violets and clover means bees buzzing on warm days. The yard where I lived last began with hardly any flowers to speak of, but I planted some every year. Native perennials that slowly but surely changed the land and the wildlife. When we first moved in, there was no non-human life beyond mosquitoes. And when we moved out, pollinators flew everywhere. Yellow finches started visiting to eat seeds in the garden. Bunnies came to eat their share, and hawks and foxes followed. We're doing this all the time. Whether we choose to foster abundance for the local birds or destroy everything except European plants that keep their blooms because they're toxic to wildlife and therefore deer resistant. We affect the land, in turn the land affects us. It's easier for most of us to recognize that we affect the ecosystem than it is to know that it also affects us. There have been just a few times in my life when I found myself in a situation where the power of nature suddenly became apparent, when I realized I was in trouble. Out of water on a hot day too far from where I needed to be, watching a flash flood gain on me faster than I ever could have imagined, getting caught in the rain for a few hours and shivering hard enough to realize that it technically being summer doesn't mean you can't get hypothermia. But most of the time, the comforts of modern life in a rich nation shield us from these realities, for now. The truth is, despite that illusion, we are dependent on the ecosystem. Sometimes it's very obvious and direct. We spray pesticides and the pollinators disappear, forcing us to try and bring in external pollinators to solve the problem that we made. Sometimes it's less obvious or the effects are less immediate. In the short term, we may use fertilizer to prop up depleted soil, but eventually food production will collapse if we don't move to more sustainable methods. We destroy biodiversity by raising the global temperature, and in the process, inadvertently destroy some future medicine we never discover. Or kill wolves, only to find that some years later, erosion begins to destroy our soil, and we can't grow a garden because there are too many deer. We've been increasing ocean temperatures for decades, but when the jet stream halts because of, as scientists are predicting, because of that temperature rising, and Europe plunges into famine, that will seem to happen all at once. Whether it's direct or indirect, immediate or delayed, we are connected to the rest of the web of life, and damaging it harms us. We can kill ourselves by killing the web we're part of, or we can flourish with it. We have the capacity to be the stewards of the ecosystem or its executioner, and it all connects back to us. In the words of C. Huffman, the land herself is our relative, and she is the hand that feeds us. Don't bite her. This also applies to our relationship with other people. As independent as the Western view pretends we are, we can't make it through a day without the help of millions of other people, past and present. Our garbage and sewage would overtake us within a day without the labor and infrastructure others have provided. We would have no shelter, no food. Our patriarchal worldview loves to pretend no one ever needed to help us make it out of childhood. But that was once more than full-time job. I would have died about a dozen times by now without the antibiotics others discovered and produced. And again, we're cared for when we get old. No matter how rich we are, no matter how independent we imagine ourselves to be, the super rich still need someone to clean them when they're too weak to do it. They might have more staff than the rest of us and fewer loving family members, but I've seen rich and poor people die, and that's the only difference I've seen. A functioning society makes us as individuals possible. Whatever we've accomplished, whatever we've contributed, that was only possible because our basic needs were met. There are billions of people with more potential than us, more capacity for humanity-saving ideas, who spend their days focused on trying to get enough clean water and enough to eat. When we pretend that we're not connected to others and that their lives don't matter, they are not the only ones who suffer. My grandfather was probably very nearly a genius, but he spent half of his career as a sugarcane cutter. He never got more than a GED, but the biologist in the lab where he cleaned beakers after he moved to the States saw his brilliance and told him she would take him on as a PhD student if he could just finish college. And he couldn't afford it. What would he have accomplished? Whose life might his research have saved? And how many others like him have there been? People who haven't been allowed to learn to read and write, haven't been allowed to contribute what they were capable of. We need to shift our mindset to one that recognizes that we are all connected. We are all family, humans and every other part of this vast universe. If anything had been different from the Big Bang until now, everything would be different. We're not some isolated consciousness bouncing around, but part of many much larger systems that we owe our lives to and have responsibility for. Just as we don't have a greater claim to the flowers than the deer, we aren't any more at the center of the universe than any other being. We aren't even the only being in this being. Half of the cells in your body are bacteria, not human cells, and you'd die without them. The whole universe is our family. And just like a real family, we can relate to it in dysfunctional ways or with love, as violent authoritarians or with recognition of our connectedness. May we live in ways that honor that connectedness and every once in a while share some flowers. Amen.